Is it too early in the baseball season to panic about players? Of course not. But who should you be worried about? Let's start with a player that, well, I hate to say I warned you, but on my players to avoid for 2023 in fantasy baseball, he was the headliner, Chris Sale in Boston. Look, I get it. It's only been one start, but it was a rough start. Now, the reason that I was completely out on Sale and have been out on him for a while is the obvious health risk. This is a guy who's pitched less than 50 total innings over the past 3 years combined. So if they say he's good to go for this season, he's going to be in the rotation, fine. But is he going to be the same guy we've seen in the past? Is he going to be as effective? Is the velocity going to be there? Besides the fact I don't know if when he's going to land on the IL again, is he really going to be the old Chris Sale? Well, in his first start of the season, he just looked like an old Chris Sale. Gave up 7 earned runs and 7 hits in 3 innings. Now, if you did draft Chris Sale, you know what you're getting into. You can be patient. You're not going to drop him yet. I'm not in that position because I don't have him anywhere in all of my leagues. I would just say keep him on the bench until things turn around. Now let's go to Toronto in that same division and a pitcher maybe we should start worrying about a little bit more. That's Jose Berrios. Last year pitched to a 5.23 ERA. Wasn't very good in fantasy. Now, a lot of analysts expect that maybe he'd have some positive regression this year because his Sierra, that is skill independent ERA, which is kind of a better measure of how a pitcher should have performed, well, it was only 4.13, which isn't too bad, really. Maybe some bad luck, but Berrios has the skills and still kind of prime age, should be able to bounce back, right? Well, so far this year, not good. First start, he got lit up, 8 earned runs on 9 hits in 5 2/3 innings. And here's the thing, it wasn't that he got victimized by a couple of long balls. He didn't even give up a single home run, which has kind of been a problem for him in the past. Last year, he gave up 29 in 32 starts, about a homer per game per start. That wasn't even it. He just got hit over and over. He didn't walk a lot of guys, so it's not like he was completely out of control. Velocity seems to be fine. It didn't dip last year. There doesn't seem to be any lingering injury or any really explanation for it. But I think that's what worries me the most is what is going on with him. He's just become a lot more hittable. He's still got great arm talent. He's still in a good situation. Should be better. But really, at this point, you've got to wonder if you can keep him in your starting lineup. Not ready to completely push the panic button on Berrios, but if he doesn't turn things around pretty soon, then I might. You never want to worry too much about young players early in the season, but it was a rough start for the Kansas City Royals offense, and that top of the lineup has some potential breakout stars in MJ Melendez, right fielder / catcher, Bobby Witt Jr., and Vinny Pasquantino. After the first weekend of baseball, they were hitting 143, 154, and 143 with a combined 1 home run and 1 steal. But guess what? They seem to be fine now because they had the pleasure of facing Jose Berrios tonight, and they combined for 5 hits, 5 RBIs, including a homer from Melendez. This is what they needed, and they will be fine going forward. So don't panic if you feel like you drafted Witt too early. Play the long game and be patient. They are fine. Juan Soto in San Diego now. Not a good start. I mean, he was a little disappointing when he moved to San Diego last year in the second half. Well, this year so far, 1 for 14. Just when everyone was saying there's absolutely no need to worry about this guy is one of the best hitters in the game. Is it just a curse in San Diego? Is this something that he's just not feeling it? Is he really going to be an elite superstar still? Yes, he's fine. In fact, went deep tonight. So far, the amazing plate discipline is still there. Same number of walks as strikeouts, 3-3. There's nothing to panic about. Might be a little harder to get elite power numbers in San Diego, but look, that's not what you really want from Soto. You're not looking for 40 plus home runs. You're looking for a guy who could lead the league in batting average, should drive in a ton of runs, score a ton of runs. I think he will do that. But a guy in San Diego I'm not sure about anymore is Nelson Cruz. He had been defying Father Time for so long. After last year, kind of had to just give him the benefit of the doubt and say, now he'll be better. He's in a great lineup there, hitting the heart of the order behind guys like Soto and Manny Machado in San Diego. Should have a ton of RBI opportunities. Granted, it's still very early, but his first 7 at-bats as a Padre, no hits, 3 strikeouts. And what's more concerning is now he's not in the lineup every day, And if he doesn't turn around really quick, we could see him basically on the bench playing a glorified manager role, the veteran presence that doesn't actually do anything on the field. Well, he doesn't even take the field anyways, he's just a DH. This is a team that wants to contend for a championship. If Nelson Cruz is striking out and not going deep, he won't be in that lineup anymore, and you can't have him clogging up a bench space on your fantasy roster. Last year, he hit .234, and that was his worst batting average over a full season since 2007. He has been in the league since 2007, in fact, a couple years before that. While it would be great for a 42-year-old guy to be viable in fantasy and putting up big numbers, it seems like his time may finally have come. Has the time come for Eduardo Escobar to take a seat in New York? Now, all spring, battle for third base between the veteran Escobar and the young Brett Beatty. Escobar went out because he's the starting third baseman. Beatty got sent down to the minors. Over his first 17 plate appearances this year, Escobar has 1 hit and 7 strikeouts. Meanwhile, Beatty is raking in the minors, hitting .357 with a pair of home runs. Oh, and playing excellent defense as well, which is really the only concern that the Mets could even rightfully have about him, why he wasn't on the opening day roster. Could Beatty force Escobar out of his job? Absolutely. So if you drafted Escobar thinking you have a pretty solid presence there at third base all year, you better think again. If Beatty is still available in your league and you have Escobar, I'm not saying you can drop Escobar just yet, but you definitely want to pick up Beatty. Hell, if you don't have Escobar, it doesn't matter who you have at third base. Pick up Beatty now and stash him, especially if you can put him in an NA spot on your roster, because this guy could come up and win Rookie of the Year in the National League. No Rookie of the Year for Spencer Torkelson. Had a rough 2022. Not getting off to a good start in 23 either. 2 for 14 so far, and not a single extra base hit. He's got all the potential in the world, but the eye just doesn't seem to be there. Only 1 walk so far as well. You can move in those fences all you want. It doesn't make him a better hitter. It could happen. Torkelson, of course, the top overall pick a couple years ago, but it just doesn't look like he's ready for prime time at this time. I think he is droppable unless you're in a really deep league. And another former top prospect, CJ Abrams in Washington. You might have heard he didn't have the best opening day. 3 errors in 1 game. And he hasn't made up for it, going hitless in his first 10 at-bats of the season. This is a guy who's only 22 years old. Again, has all the talent in the world, one of the best sprint speeds in the majors, could steal a ton of bases if he gets on base. But he's not getting on base. Between him and Luis Garcia, this middle infield is probably the worst in the majors right now. This whole Nationals lineup is a disaster. So the question is now, what do you do after just a couple of games? Do you panic or do you hold tight? Panic. Abrams is super young. Last year, didn't do so great in his opportunity in the big leagues. Raw talent is great, but production is what matters. Even a team like the Nats will send him down for more seasoning if he's struggling that badly. At some point, he could grow into a superstar, but look, at this point, it seems pretty far off. The season is just getting started, so if you missed my bold predictions for 2023, check them out.